Okay, well, good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to call the July 27th, 2020 Langley City Council meeting to order and begin by acknowledging the land on which we gather is the traditional unceded territory of the Kaitsi, Kwantlen, Masquee, and Semiahmoo First Nations. I'm Mayor Val Vandenbroek, and with me this afternoon, I have all the council members, starting with Councillor Rudy Storteboom, Councillor Rosemary Wallace, Councillor Gail Martin, Councillor Terry James, Councillor Nathan Bahal, and Councillor Paul Albrecht. And for staff with us this afternoon, we have Darren Light, who's our Director of Corporate Services, Paula Cusack, our Deputy Corporate Officer, Francis Chung, our Chief Administrative Officer, Carl Johansson, our Director of Development Services, Herod Gill, who is our Manager of Engineering Services, and Kim Hilton, who is our Director of Recreation, Culture, and Community Services. Just a few words. This is our last meeting until September. I'm just going to take a moment to send our thoughts and best wishes to everyone who's been affected by the two fires that we've recently had in Langley City, and a huge thank you to our City Fire, Surrey Fire, Township Fire, RCMP, BC Ambulance, Hydro, our city staff, our emergency response volunteers, and pretty much everyone in our entire community who they just stepped up in any way, shape, or form. So a big thank you. And as we go into summer, just a reminder to keep your social distancing, wash your hands often, wear a mask when possible, and stay home if you're not feeling well. That is the key right now. For all our COVID-19 information, you can go to our website at langleycity.ca, and federal, provincial, our information, our economic task force site is up on there as well. So just want to say have a safe and happy summer, everyone, and remember to be kind and be patient. And so going into some business now, we have the adoption of the agenda of the July 27, 2020 regular agenda. We need a mover and a seconder, please. Storteboom and Albrecht. That the July 27, 2020 be adopted as circulated. Any changes or errors or additions to the agenda? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? That carries. Next up, Committee of the Whole. A Committee of the Whole meeting provides Council the opportunity to receive input from the public and allows Council a greater opportunity to speak to and debate specific agenda items. I need a mover and a seconder that Council commence the Committee of the Whole. Councillor Wallace, Councillor James, any discussion? Call the vote. All those in favor? Any opposed? Committee of the Whole carries. 2019 City of Langley Annual Report. I believe our Chief Administrative Officer has a presentation for us. Mr. Chung.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just have a verbal presentation for today. In accordance with Section 98 and 99 of the Community Charter, we're pleased to present the 2019 Annual Report that provides a progress report on the performance of the city with respect to established objectives and measures for 2019. The reporting requirements for the annual report are outlined in the report to Council in your agenda package. With the direction and support of City Council, we have successfully achieved the performance goals and objectives as set out in the annual report for 2019. And our fiscal responsibility and accountability are in a very strong position. And with that, thank you very much.
Great, thank you. Paula Cusack, our Deputy Corporate Officer, is there any correspondence that has been received for this?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. No response.
Okay, and any comments or questions from Council to staff? Councillor Storteboom, is that a question?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just wanted to offer my best wishes and compliments to staff and all who were involved in pulling together this annual report. It is the most presentable and readable and understandable presentation that I have seen to date. My compliments in achieving the goals that are established and presented in the report. And I think that the city's done very well for this past year. So I just wanted to offer my compliments and my gratitude for the hard work that's gone into this. Thank you very much.
Great, thanks, Councillor Sturdivant. I think we all feel the same way. Councillor Pahal.
Thank you, and I don't want to repeat what Councillor Sturdivant said, but also I just wanted to highlight it's good to see that the images that are in those reports represent people and places in our community, and it was really nice to see that visually reinforced throughout the report. So yeah, it was really good and really well put together. Thank you, Francis and Darren.
Great, thank you. Any other comments or suggestions? Mr. Chung.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just want to thank Samantha Paulson and Tara Adele for putting together this excellent and very presentable report, like Councilor Sturdivant and McCall mentioned. If there was a silver lining from all the COVID-19 pandemics, they were able to spend a little bit more time on creating this new format. And in previous years, it was very challenging with all the tasks that we have to do, but with the COVID-19, they were able to reallocate some of the time to do this. So a great job by the two of them. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much, and thanks to them for doing that. Okay, any other comments? Seeing none, I need a mover and a seconder that the Committee of the Whole rise and report. Councillor Sturdivant, Councillor James. Call the vote. All those in favor? And that is carried. Okay, adoption of the minutes. Regular meeting minutes from July 13th, that the minutes of the regular meeting held on July 13th, 2020 be adopted as circulated. Councillor Sturdivant, Councillor Albrecht, any corrections to that? Seeing none, call the vote. All those in favor? Opposed? Carries. Public hearing minutes from July 20th, 2020. For a seconder, Councillor Sturdivant, Councillor Albrecht, that the minutes of the public hearing held on July 20th, 2020 be adopted as circulated. Any corrections on that? Seeing none, call the vote. All those in favor? Any opposed? And that carries as well. Okay, business arising from Committee of the Whole. 2019 City of Langley annual report. Need a mover and a seconder. Councillor Albrecht, Councillor Sturdivant, that the 2019 annual report be approved. Councillor Albrecht, did you have a comment? Go ahead.
I just trying to find the mute there. It wasn't cooperating. Anyways, enough's been said earlier, but I just wanted to make a comment that it's really great that during this challenging times with the COVID pandemic, that we're putting out a document to instill confidence in our economic recovery and slowly building the trust back for our residents in that the city will do well and rebound with good leadership, good planning, and good thought into how we're going to be running our community. So hats off to staff. Francis, great job corralling all the moving pieces and getting it all in a very presentable document.
Great, thank you, Councillor Albrecht. Any other discussion on that? I don't see anything, so all those in favor? Any opposed? And that carries. All right, up next we have our delegations. We have our RCMP quarterly update. So we have Superintendent Murray Power from the Langley RCMP here to report.
Thank you, Your Worship, Council. It's always a pleasure to be in touch with you all. I do miss the face-to-face, so this is the next best thing, so be it. I do want to echo the comments about the fire. I don't worry about much in my profession because I've seen a lot. But when my daughter showed me the footage of the fire in the apartment building, I was genuinely concerned overnight through the next day till it was confirmed that there was no injuries and no deaths, which I thought was nothing short of a minor miracle. So kudos to the design for making sure everybody got out safe, and really huge respect to the fire and all the rest of the responding agencies that went that night. Turns out to be sad, but could have been a tragic story, and it wasn't. So that's the good news. I've sent a couple weeks ago. You all received or should have received our summer report for general distribution. Interesting time because if you've looked at some of the numbers, which I think we're starting to hit a bit of a sweet spot for the structure of this report, and a lot of thanks has to go to Councillor Pahal for suggestions and feedback. And I think this becomes a fairly nice document to follow. You can see the trends over a 2-year period. And what's kind of special at this point in time is even I'm kind of shocked at how low some of the crime numbers were up to the end of June. So don't want to curse us, but pretty good news story all over, although we always shoot for zero. No glaring concerns, no major files to report, which is also a good news story. You did get the update that we still have not identified the male that was found in the Nicomeco River on June 7th. We are using media, all media aspects that we can to share tattoos that we have, looking through missing persons databases. And it's still a bit of a mystery. So fingers crossed that whoever the loved ones are of this individual, we identify sooner than later. So that is that. Went through a little walk in the community with Her Worship last week, and it was interesting to, anecdotally speaking anyway, talk to some of the shop owners who noted an improved situation with regards to the homeless that they see in and around the community. So that's a bit of a good news story. Obviously, a few contributing factors to that, whether it be the Creekstone effect, but also the COVID effect, where they have housed a number of unfortunate people in unfortunate circumstances, I should say, in the various motels in the Langleys. So that is given a starting point for people to at least have a shelter over their heads, and there is a direct correlation to an impact on the community and the feelings that people have that get uncomfortable with homeless people around. So hopefully that is something that's seen as a positive, that there is something to be learned from housing people as a first step into making our communities that much better. And if we can just take it from housing to the next steps of treatment, whether it be drug treatment, mental health treatment, that would be a great next step for all the communities to continue to put pressure on those responsible for providing those services. Would be excellent for all of us. And I think I'd be remiss to, especially in this time with outside of the virus, the social unrest concerns regarding policing. And I've talked to all our members as to how they're feeling with regards to, public pressure, the international scrutiny on policing, and how our members are feeling on the street. So for the most part, it was pretty positive. They're still very confident in what they do. They are very alive that if they pull over a vehicle, the cell phone cameras are coming out. People walking down the street are videotaping them and everything that they do in their day-to-day operations. And that if you start thinking about that, that can become quite unnerving. But I give kudos to the young members. They become accustomed to that and try to carry themselves accordingly. Make no doubt they will make mistakes periodically, and unfortunately that will become the story and not all the positive work that they do out there. But we're prepared for that as long as we keep operating with the best of intentions. So they have also not received a lot of negative public feedback in the Langleys, which is also another good news story with regards to the relationship we have with the community. So that's good news. They are alive and aware, a little bit sensitive. not sensitive in a negative way. My concern is that they overthink a situation and then don't react as quickly as they should. But so far, that has not been the case. But still newsworthy topic within our community is the international concerns about policing, and we will continue to do our best to operate as to the standards that you expect of us. And if we're ever not meeting that, I can't stress enough, please let me know. I can't fix what I don't know, and we want to be the best detachment that any community can have. So there we go. I'm here for any questions that you have based on the numbers, the facts, or anything else.
Great, thanks, Murray. And you are the best attachment. So I'm just going to put that out there. Councillor Wallace, and then James, and then Sturtevant, and then Pahal.
Thank you for your report, and thank you for your work. I guess that you made a lot of comments about people being not stressed about having our homeless out on the streets, and housing is first, right? And you mentioned the need for resources as well. And I'm just wondering in looking into the future, you know, where they're housed right now because there's vacancies in hotel rooms. That's we're trying to help them, I guess. But I'm just leery of what we're going to do in the future when it comes to being able to continue that care when our hotel rooms end up being fuller. So I don't know if that's a question to you or just a broader question to you know, our council, BC government. Thank you.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind responding just slightly. You know, I always, you know, probably err on the wrong side of caution here with too much commentary on this, but when it directly impacts your policing, I think I have a responsibility to comment. But what I'm seeing is, you know, do we take this opportunity to see what life is like with at least temporary housing and use that momentum going forward to the appropriate people to say that there is a positive benefit. You will get community support for programs going forward. We just have to keep the momentum going and get the next steps prepared. So, you know, there could be a piece for a joint, you know, submission to wherever it should go based on the findings during the virus. So there's my 2 cents on that.
Thanks. Councillor James.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thanks for your report, Superintendent Power. I just dovetailing on what Councillor Wallace just said. This is a question about how to manage large groups of homeless that congregate. So, for example, this morning or this afternoon, actually, there was a lot of them right around Value Village, like a lot of homeless people. I'm talking like probably 15 or 20 different groups. And so in light of the fact of everything that's going on, and I mean, the social distancing, obviously, that's not something that we can expect everyone to follow. But I did get requests from the community asking me, who do they call when they start to congregate in those masses?
There is, you know, it's going to be a time of day issue is a bit of a concern. We've been successful in the entire province, and this is you know, kudos to the politicians right down to the frontline workers in not overreacting on the social distancing issues and trying to educate. And when I say overreacting, I just mean heavy-handed enforcement, not ignoring. So and we've gotten a lot of various direction within the RCMP during this process. So the first line of action would for any enforcement, and it's hard to enforce on the homeless because you're talking about fines or anything like that, kind of does fall to the bylaws. But in these circumstances, I think it's a bit of a joint effort between the bylaws and either our community liaison officers, our bike patrol members, or our frontline members, depending on the circumstance that presents itself, to engage and try to encourage the you know, the breakup of any groups of large concern. For certain, I would say it's a joint effort at this point in time for any first line enforcement, which is going to be more business oriented. And I'll use an example of the outside of the city, the the Twilight Drive-In Theater during the first wave, when they were looking at possibly opening, they were under a 50-car restriction. That enforcement fell to the Township of Langley bylaws to look into. And what we did is we just assisted them with some observations, which turned out to be nothing because he didn't open because he couldn't make a go of it with 50 cars. So that's just an example of a business requirement that would have city bylaws engage with our support as required. But a homeless situation where it's more of a social issue, that's going to be, I think it's more of a joint effort to try to get them to cooperate and spread out a little bit more. Hopefully that answers your question.
It does, thank you. And I guess I just wanted to finish with my comment to anyone that inquired was that bylaw and the RCMP are very aware that this congregation is happening right now. So they're doing whatever they need to do to manage the situation. So just so you know, there was no alarm bells or anything like that, Marie. It was just people just want to know, A, who they call, and B, if the situation is being looked after. And my response is always, you better believe that the people that need to know that this is happening. So thank you for your very cohesive answer. I appreciate it.
No problem.
It was Nathan, I believe, next, or Councillor Stortaboom.
I think it was Councillor Stortaboom.
I think it was Stortaboom first, and then Councillor Pahal. Let's go with that.
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor, and thank you, Superintendent Power, for your report. It's always good to hear of the good work that you and your team are doing in our community, and I'm especially impressed with the numbers that you're presenting for this past quarter. No doubt it is because of the circumstances in which we find ourselves. No doubt if we're back to normal next year, we'll be struggling because the numbers will be much higher as per normal. I did want to draw attention to the fact that in this situation, like every situation, there is opportunity to draw attention to the Housing First model and some of the things that we are learning from dealing with this COVID. And my appreciation and respect for all of your members who are adapting and moving through this very difficult time and helping us with our policing. I would suggest, if I may, that you connect with your peers in the policing community to encourage our provincial government to step up and to take advantage of the learning opportunities that we've had through this COVID-19 experience, and to be sure that it is more affordable to house our homeless first than it is to just leave them on the street and have to deal with them through policing. Because in fact, we've learned that policing isn't necessarily the best approach to people who struggle with homelessness, poverty, and mental health issues. So thank you very much for your report. And thank you too for backing up our bylaws. I know that when the team of bylaw enforcement officers go home in the evening, it is the RCMP who are encouraged to enforce those bylaws at their discretion. We are a team, we are working together, and I want you to know that I appreciate you and that we are all learning from this current situation. So no question, as much as it is just many thanks and best wishes moving forward.
Thank you, Councillor, and I will share the thoughts on taking advantage of what we're learning on the homeless factor, because I think this is the first real opportunity we've had to show how something might be able to work. So hopefully we definitely can get some momentum going there.
Thank you again.
Great, thank you. Councillor Pahal.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And to Superintendent Power, again, thank you for your commentary around Housing First. I know that we are planning, like every municipality, our conversations with ministers for the virtual UBCM. Based on your experience, and maybe you can't answer this right now, but you noticed about writing a letter or something like that. Is that something that you could write, just noting your experiences with the reduction in folks that are camping and how it sort of has that direct correlation to Housing First? Because having that from our superintendent may help us when we talk to the ministers as we continue to advocate for more supports for people who are homeless in our community.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor. I think just maybe even thinking a little broader as because I would be very comfortable in documenting and what we're seeing either anecdotally or in any real provable trend. I'd like to add to that with observations of the Downtown Business Association and get some of their input as to what they've observed at the same time and what is bylaws observed, because bylaws is really talk about being on the front line of homelessness. Is your bylaws team has been there since day one. So I think the collective input could make for a pretty hopefully influential document at the end of the day, but I would definitely be in on that.
Thank you. And maybe to the mayor or to Mr. Chung, what would we need to do to facilitate this collaboration?
Madam Mayor, to Councillor Pakal, what we want to do is have a discussion with council and then formulate some points, and then we can perhaps either write a letter or seek a meeting with the minister responsible for housing and BC Housing, perhaps, and we can go from there.
Thank you. And just one follow-up through the mayor again to Mr. Chung. Does this require any motion from council, or is it just duly noted?
Madam Mayor, to Councillor Pakal, is duly noted for now, and if we need a resolution from council, I will come back to council.
Thank you very much. And just again to the mayor, to Superintendent Power, did you actually, I guess when you're compiling it, you'll know was there a reduction in the calls for service relating to homelessness?
That I don't have handy. Yeah, because we'd have to break that. I'm going to say, make an educated guess that there will be a reduction in the city, but there may be an increase in the township, due to other factors. So we would have to just break down those numbers.
Okay, thank you. And just kind of switching gears completely to speed enforcement and noisy vehicles. So I noticed you did have a section about traffic enforcement, and I've had a few residents, and I've heard it myself, commenting about people with vehicles that may not have mufflers that meet the Motor Vehicle Act. How do they go about getting action on that?
I would actually, that'd probably be a great one for our, I'd have to double check on the standards for our online reporting, whether or not that would fit, but at minimum, if they have a license plate, they can always report that with the license plate associated to it, if it doesn't fit within our online reporting requirements. And then we can get that to our traffic section and give them some options as to what they want to do.
Yeah, and I'm doing now lobbying on behalf of residents. So I know that specifically I get a lot of comments around people driving with noisy vehicles along Grade Crescent and 203rd, especially around that intersection. Is that an area where you would have data about or would put enforcement? Because sometimes it's hard for the residents to catch a license plate.
Yes, and I would, Sergeant LaBelle, actually we never got a chance to show you his plan for enforcement, which it's very comprehensive and evidence-based, and I know 203 and Grade is probably going to be into his area of responsibility, and then he can give some direct feedback. So let me put that to him and see what he can tell us, see if I can get a confirmation that that's one of their target areas that they do enforcement on.
Thank you very much, Superintendent Power, and thank you, Madam Mayor.
Great, thanks, Councillor Bahal. You can also contact ICBC Leanne Cassab and Ursu Integrated Road Safety Unit as well. Okay, well, any other questions or comments for Mr. Power? Well, thank you, sir. Have a wonderful summer. We will talk to you soon, and thank you for your report and all you do for us.
Thank you, Your Worship and Council, Mr. Chung, and the rest of the staff. It's always a pleasure, and I think I'm the envy of my colleagues to have two great communities to serve, and you guys make it easy, so I appreciate that. And enjoy August, and we'll see you guys in the fall.
Great, thank you. Okay, well, moving on to Mayor's Report. Our next upcoming meetings is September 14th, 2020 at 3 p.m. is our next one. And then the following after that is September 28th, 2020 at 3 p.m. And up next under the Mayor's Report, we have a recreation update with Kim Hilton, our Director of Recreation, Culture, and Community Services.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm just going to share my presentation. We did a dry run today, so it should be working much more efficiently than last week. And here we go. So our recreation update for July. As always, want to start with some of the great activities that are happening in our community. At Douglas Recreation Center, the FUNTASTIC Adventures Day Camp is running, ages 5 to 12. It's a weekly camp, and it's running right through to September 4th. If people are interested, they do need to phone and reserve their spot in advance. We are booking up partly or mainly due to the reduced numbers that we can accommodate due to our physically distancing measures that are in place. The camp does run from 8:30 till 3 Monday through Friday, except on statutory holidays, and we have extended play as well. You can phone 604-514-2865 to register or go online as well. Happily, since July the 13th, our indoor fitness classes have been taking off. We have 9 different types of classes that run throughout the week, Monday through Saturday. These are by pre-registration only, so there are no drop-ins, and you do need to register by the night prior to the class that you want to take. So to register, you can go online to ActiveNet, or you can phone 604-514-2940. We've moved the fitness classes into the gymnasium, so we have lots of room for physically distancing and lots of sanitizing of the spaces and the equipment. So it's been working really well, and people are really happy to be back exercising. And in the gymnasium with air conditioning and not having to cancel classes due to weather. Moving on from there, public swimming. So as you know, on June 29th, we were fortunate enough to have the blessing of Mayor and Council to open the public outdoor pool, Al Anderson Memorial Pool. And while our programming isn't our traditional programming, we are fortunate to have a lot of different types of swims being offered. And again, this is by pre-registration. Some of the activities that are happening are public swims. We have 4 swims Monday to Friday and 3 swims on the weekends each day. Space is limited again because of our reduced numbers, and we are filling up with this great weather. So some people unfortunately are missing out on jumping into the pool this summer. Along with the fitness classes, the weight room at Tim's Community Center is also opened, and you can book your 30-minute session. Again, this is a pre-registration. We have reduced capacity in the weight room, lots of cleaning of touch points, but you can register online at langleycity.ca or over the phone at 604-514-2940. And again, it's good to see some of our community members that really need to be working out for their health, keeping themselves mobile, have come back to the facility and are starting to work on their health and fitness again. Youth programs, which started early June, continue to run outdoors at Douglas Park. And as you can see, we have a variety of activities that run Monday through Friday in the park. And these programs are free, so the youth just need to meet Taryn, our youth programmer in Douglas Park, and he has a ton of different activities planned for them throughout the summer. And this is open to youth for grades 6 to 12. Link swimming, popular again with reduced numbers of 32 people only in the pool. We have link swimming during the morning, 7:30 to 8:30 a.m. Monday to Friday, and then again from 9 to 10:30 p.m. It proves to sell out every day, so make sure you get online to reserve your spot, or you can phone the pool at 604-514-2864, and that's Al Anderson Memorial Pool. Also, we're offering our modified pop-up and play activities. This is a fun outdoor family activity. We have staff out on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays for 2 hours in the morning, and they have some odd 40 bags of equipment that have all been cleaned and disinfected, and people can sign out the bags, play with them, return them, they get disinfected, and then people can use them again. So unfortunately, our play boxes are not open because we can't keep those sanitized or disinfected, but this is a great opportunity. And quite frankly, we're getting out to different parks that we aren't typically at, like Rotary Centennial, Linwood Park, Dumay, and the families are really enjoying seeing our staff out there. Aquatic fitness classes is another option that we have at Al Anderson Memorial Pool. Again, we have shallow water aquafit Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And I have to say this class is a little bit easier to get into. We also have our deep water aquafit, which runs Tuesdays and Thursdays. And that is more challenging because they are booking up quickly. So make sure you go online and reserve your spot. Pre-registration is required, or phone 604-514-2864 to book with our staff. Hopefully you've been seeing our park ambassadors out on the trails and in the parks throughout our community. This is through a partnership with HRDC funding. Minimum wage is being funded or being subsidized by the federal government for the 10 weeks throughout the summer. So our staff are out there connecting with people, promoting the programs that we are offering, and encouraging people to make sure that they are staying physically distant, and just making people more aware of everything that we have to offer. And we have to say it's a beautiful community, lots of great trails, lots of great parks, and it's good to have the staff out there connecting with people. And as always, we just want to remind people to stay active and stay safe, but we are practicing our physically distancing of 6 feet or 2 meters. So please stay happy, healthy, and safe. And that's my update for today.
Great, thank you very much. I'm going to pull everybody over. Thank you to you and your staff for all the great work. Councillor James and then Councillor Storteboom.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor, and thanks, Kim, for your report. And I just wanted to let everyone know that with the DLBA's Pick Up Picnics program, we pre-stuffed 900 consumer bags with cool things like little things of hand sanitizer, maps to our parks, mural walk brochures. Any of those that don't get used in the Pick Up Picnic program, and there'll probably be about 100 or so, we're donating to the city's ambassadors so they can handle or hand these cool bags out to the people when they see them in the parks. So I just wanted to let everybody know that that was happening.
Great, that's fantastic. Councillor Storteboom.
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor, and thank you, Ms. Hilton, for your report. As always, I'm very impressed by you and the performance of your team, especially during this time of coronavirus, and demonstrating how to safely reopen some of our recreational programs. I'm thinking you're the envy of those in other communities. In fact, I suspect some of our neighboring municipalities have folks slipping in to use the facilities that you've opened up successfully and safely. I am interested at this point in asking about that walking track to see if we can make that available, because during these warmer temperatures, I think there'd be a lot of people who might like to use that walking track if that's available, please.
Thank you, Your Worship, through to Councillor Storteboom. It is something that we are looking at on how we can implement opening up the walking track. Certainly, the heat is a bit of a challenge, but definitely when the colder, wetter months of the fall come upon us, we'd like to have a plan in place. So we are working on that, and I hope to present something to you soon.
Thank you. I know you're doing the best that you can considering the circumstances. You're doing exceptional, and I thank you and your team. Please extend my best regards.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Wallace.
Thank you for your report, Kim. And I just want to thank your team and the city for opening up other parks rather than just Douglas Park. It's nice to, especially Rotary Park, we have a lot of families that struggle in that area, and it's just nice to have that there as well. So I just wanted to just thank the city for making that happen.
Thank you. It's been fun being out at the different parks, that's for sure.
The variety is always nice, right? Okay, any other comments or questions for Ms. Hilton? No? Wonderful. Well, thank you very much. And last, under Mayor's report, we have a report from Councillor Albrecht for Discover Langley City.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And I'm doing this from out of town, so hopefully things are getting through. And if not, I'm not even sure how anyone's going to let me know. So that might be something that Paul can help me out with. But anyways, I'm going to give it and see how we do. So COVID-19 is being effectively monitored, controlled, and treated in British Columbia and Canada. The Public Health Agency of Canada is actively monitoring the situation and working with the World Health Organization and other international partners. We know that COVID-19 remains top of mind for many travelers. Discover Langley City is working closely with key industry partners, including the Hotel Community, Destination British Columbia, the Tourism Industry Association, and Destination Canada as the situation evolves. Discover Langley City is committed with our industry partners to ensure we all work together to welcome locals and neighbors to Langley City in a safe and mindful way to ensure the long-term health of our community and our industry. It's just a fun fact, is that the tourism industry is the single biggest economic driver in BC, despite all our natural resources. So it is a very important aspect of our economic recovery. So Discover Langley City was successful in obtaining a Canada Summer Jobs Grant in the amount of $9,800. This allowed us to hire a marketing coordinator for 16 weeks. The Canadian government has been extremely helpful in recognizing the need of the tourism industry from the effects of COVID. We were successful also because we were able to show that we have a safe working environment that considers COVID precautions. Emma Brooks is a second-year marketing management student from BCIT specializing in communications. Emma is eager and excited to reach out to our stakeholders to continue to build our tourism community in Langley City. We have connected with our tourism stakeholders with an update that outlines our marketing efforts via an email consisting of our activities and upcoming marketing plans on their behalf. This email was well received with a 56% open rate. Marketing. We are slowly and thoughtfully starting up our marketing tactics for summer and fall. Our main focus is encouraging people to be tourists in their own town and to develop and promote the safest possible visit to Langley City for visitors and residents. We are taking our inspiration from Yukon, and their tagline is, "Why walk your block for a millionth time when you can walk ours for the first?" Social media. Consumers have a very critical response to perceived unthoughtful or unsafe messaging on social media, which means we have to be very cautious in what we post. We have been fortunate to build relationships online and connect with user-generated content that mainly focuses on beautiful images from our parks and trails and has been extremely well received. Our audience is growing and there has been genuine interaction with our followers. Now that we are in phase 3 and people are encouraged to expand their travel destinations, we look forward to tempting them with images of activities and restaurants. We look to our channels to inspire consumers with ideas on how they can spend time in Langley and encourage them to make it a multi-day visit to utilize our hotels. The overnight stays are going to be key to the economic recovery for the hotels. So this is critical marketing efforts for our stakeholders and the DLC. The Discover Guide, Volume 3. The Discover Guide is getting a summer refresh, and these guides list all our fabulous attractions and to give our visitors an easy resource to help them plan activities while visiting the city and hopefully encouraging them to stay for multiple days and experience everything we have to offer. These guides will be delivered to key locations around the city all accommodation providers, and available for download from our website. Langley Road Rally. Oh, okay. So Langley Road Rally. Our marketing plan includes developing and encouraging new tourism experience. With this in mind, we have partnered with Tourism Langley to create a Langley Road Rally. This professionally designed experience will map out a route that features must-see outdoor spaces, shops, and restaurants, and encourages people to experience Langley in a safe way. The BC Ale Trail. We are excited to be partnering with BC Ale Trail, the defined resource for those interested in exploring the extraordinary world of BC craft beer, and it is good. This is a well-known and popular program that is a consortium of community DMOs working with the BC Ale Trail to access matching funds from Destination BC to assist in marketing efforts. And Langley City is joining the Fraser Valley Ale Trail and will be featuring Farm Country Brewing, KPU Brew Lab, and craft beer focused businesses in Langley City. The events calendar continues to be a summer tradition of sending our customers a list of events. This is going to be a challenging year, obviously, and many have been canceled, but thank has opened up 43% of residents. Hello Listings, Destination BC operates as a consumer website for travel to British Columbia. We are working with the DBC and our stakeholders to ensure that they are represented on the site. In order to be listed, a business must have claimed their TripAdvisor listing and Verizon. We will be contacting all our stakeholders and offering to assist them in this process so that they can be fully represented online. And that is my report.
Great, thank you very much. So I love the student thing. I always love to hear places that take on people, students during the summer to help them get the experience. So wonderful news. Councillor Pahal.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. To Councillor Albrecht, just a question. Have you heard that places like the Coast Hotel would be opening up to sort of dovetail with this getting people with overnight stays?
I'm sorry, I don't have any specific answers on that.
Okay. Thank you. That's it.
Thank you. Councillor Wallace, go ahead.
Well, thank you for the extensive report. There's a lot going on. I just want to compliment the marketing, just the amount of positive that is happening on social media, and I love the fact that it's not just our downtown businesses, but it's actually focusing on our parks. There's been a lot of information about that, so I just wanted to put out a compliment there. So thank you. Thanks for your report. And you did say a lot in your report. So where would we get all of that information? Not myself, I can get it, but just as somebody in the public that's watching this right now, you've given a lot of great information. Where would they be able to get that information?
Definitely the DLB or the DLC website. They've got all this content on there in probably a little bit more detail or specific detail than what I've provided here. I try to give an overall report, and more specific information can be obtained at the DLC website.
Thank you.
Okay, great. Any other questions for Councillor Albrecht? Okay, wonderful. Thank you for that report. What's going on there? Okay, on to bylaws now. Bylaw 3130, zoning bylaw amendment, third and final reading of a bylaw to amend the zoning bylaw to update and add new commercial use definition and separation distances between certain commercial uses. Need a mover and a seconder. Councillor Sturteboom, Councillor Pahal. that the bylaw cited as the zoning bylaw 1996, number 2100, amendment number 168, 2020, number 31330 be read a third and final time. Any discussion on this? Okay, I don't see any. All those in favor? Any opposed? And that carries. Bylaw 3123, discharge of land use contract number 11-78, final reading of a bylaw to authorize the discharge of land use contract number 22-72 from the property located at 19986 50A Avenue. That the bylaw cited as the discharge of land use contract number 11-78 bylaw 2020 number 3123 be read a final time. I need a mover and a seconder. Councillor Albrecht and Councillor James. Any discussion on that? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? That carries. Bylaw 3124, discharge of land use contract number 22-72. Final reading of a bylaw to authorize the discharge of land use contract number 22-72 from the property located at 19986 50A Avenue. That the bylaw cited as the discharge of land use contract number 22-72 bylaw 2020 number 3124 be read a final time. I need a mover and a seconder, please. Councillor Storteboom, Councillor James. Any discussion on that? Councillor Albrecht, did you have a question? Sorry, you're on mute and you're frozen. I
No
think
question, no question for me. No.
Oh, there we go. You're okay. I'm assuming that was a second. And there was no discussion on that. Okay. I'm getting a nod. So all those in favor? Any opposed? And that carries as well. Bylaw 3125, zoning amendment and development permit number 01-20. Final reading of bylaw to rezone properties located at 5326 to 5360 200 Street and 5321 to 5361 200 A Street to accommodate a 4-story 92-unit rental apartment development. Need a mover and a seconder. Councillor Storteboom, Councillor Wallace, that the bylaw cited as zoning bylaw 1996 number 2100, amendment number 167 2020 number 3125 be read a final time. Any discussion on that? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? That carries. Development permit number 01-20 5326 to 5360 200 Street and 5321 to 5361 200 A Street. Need a mover and a seconder. Councillor Wallace, Councillor Storteboom. That development permit application DP 01-20 located at 5326 to 5360 200 Street and 5321 to 5361 200 A Street to accommodate a 4-story 92-unit rental apartment development be approved subject to execution of a development servicing agreement in compliance with the conditions outlined in the advisory design panel staff report. Any discussion on that? Seeing none. Okay, all those in favor? Any opposed? That carries. Sorry, folks, there's a little bit of a time delay. I got to check to make sure that nobody's got their hands up, so just bear with me, please. Okay, on to committee reports. Arts and Culture Task Group, City Park Sculpture. I believe Councillor Albrecht wishes to speak to this. I think he's still frozen.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And again, hopefully people can hear me. If not, I may have to get Councillor Wallace to jump in and take my place. The committee recommendation is that the Arts and Culture Task Group recommend moving forward with the creation and installation of the Lara Sermon sculpture, which is an upright 12-note pipe xylophone. And I'll move that recommendation.
Okay, a seconder, Councillor Wallace. Okay, discussion on that. Any discussion on that? Councillor Wallace.
I'm just really excited to have a public art piece in City Park and a 3D sculpture, because I feel like we need a few more of those in the city. And the fact that it has that musical component, and as it states in your report, music is a universal language. So I just love the concept, and I can't wait till it's up. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Councillor Albrecht, did you have another comment?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. And I know my audio and video is choppy, so I just want to say that we did lay out a fairly extensive criteria. The artist and all of those criteria, as well as an interactive component to it. And I think it's going to be a very nice.
Great, thank you. Okay, any other discussion on this? Okay, I am going to make my own comment on this before we vote. I am not going to vote in favor of this, and I'd like to explain the reason. I love the sculpture, the music. I honestly don't believe it's the right location. It's hidden, and I think it's going to create noise, and it's not a well visited park at night by positive interaction. I know there's already concerns in that neighborhood with noises from baseball and such. I love it. I love the art piece itself. I cannot agree to put it in that location. So I will call the vote. All those in favor? Opposed, and I will be recorded as opposed for the location. So that carries. Next up, we have Arts and Culture Task Group, Linwood Park Washrooms Mural Call. Councillor Albrecht, again, I believe you wanted to speak to this report as well.
Yes, again, thank you, Madam Mayor. And if my video or my audio is really bad, Councillor Wallace, I would hope that you would step forward and add any clarification. That council approve moving forward with the mural submission by artist Judy Cole for the installation on the washroom at Linwood Park. I'll move that recommendation, and if I could, while I'm talking here, I'll just add that it really adds a link between the old interurban versus the new or the potential future SkyTrain here in our community. So.
Great, thank you. You were a bit choppy, but I think we understood the gist of that. So, Councillor Pahal.
Yeah, I guess has it been seconded yet, or okay? Can I speak to it?
Sorry, Councillor Wallace seconded it.
Okay, cool. Sorry. Yeah, no, I think it's an excellent piece, and I love that it's the interurban, and it's in Linwood Park, which is right along the old interurban corridor. And also, I think it'll help as we continue to show that we're ready for SkyTrain. We're putting a big picture of the SkyTrain on the washroom at Linwood Park. So I think we're ready and excited, and this is part of Nexus. So I'm fully supportive of this.
Great, thank you. Councillor Wallace, go ahead. You're muted.
Oh my goodness, sorry guys. I just wanted, yeah, I love the concept of the mural, and Nathan already spoke to the reason why. Just wanted to thank the committee and all of their input into the history of that as well. And for Judy, just another beautiful piece, so thank you.
Great, thank you. It's wonderful to see all these art pieces going up. Okay, any other comments or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? And that carries. Okay, on to administrative reports, 2019 council remuneration and statement of financial information. I believe Mr. Light, our Director of Corporate Services. I'm not sure. I'll read the motion that the report on council remuneration and expenses as required by section 168 of the Community Charter be adopted. 2, that the statement of financial information as required by the Financial Information Act be adopted. I need a mover and a seconder on that. Councillor Storteboom, Councillor Wallace, and any discussion or questions for staff on that? I don't see any. All those in favor? Any opposed? And that carries. Self-contained breathing apparatus SCBA replacement purchase. I need a mover and seconder that council authorize the purchase for the scheduled replacement of self-contained breathing apparatus SCBA based on the tendered price of $407,996.38. Need a mover and a seconder. Councillor Storteboom, Councillor Pahal, any discussion on that? Seeing none, all those in favor, any opposed? That carries. Tender award T 2020-018, 2020 road rehabilitation, various locations. The council award the tender T 2020-18, 2020 road rehabilitation, various locations to Lafarge Canada Incorporated based on the tendered amount of $516,827, excluding GST, and 2, that council authorized the Director of Engineering, Parks and Environment and the corporate officer to execute the contract document for the T 2020-18, 2020 road rehabilitation, various locations to Lafarge Canada Incorporated. Councillor Storteboom, Councillor Pahal, any discussion on that? Any questions for staff? Report was very thorough. So all those in favor? Opposed? And that carries. On to new and unfinished business. Request for emergency operating funding from other orders of government. Councillor Albrecht, I believe you want to speak to this new motion.
Yes, again, hopefully my audio is okay. I'm just going to go to the bottom. Therefore, be it resolved that the federal provincial governments be requested to provide emergency operating funding to protect vital local services, including public transportation, protective services, emergency services, public health, and social services. And I amended it mildly, kind of expanded and got a little more specific. And we're really experiencing a lot of pressures on our schools, our libraries, our child cares, long-term care, and mental health issues with the COVID. And I don't want to limit it, but at the same time, I don't want the province or the federal government to kind of get away without providing some operating funds, because our taxation and casino revenues are taking a hit. Maybe not so much this year, but in subsequent years. And I think it's really important that we continue to lobby these other orders of government to help us out and all communities in BC.
I'm on mute. Councillor Pahal and Councillor Stortaboom, I believe you're seconding that motion, and then you'd like to speak to it.
Yes,
No?
please.
Councillor Stortaboom and then Councillor Wallace. And it's been,
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And,
sorry, it's been moved and seconded by Councillor Stortaboom and Councillor Pahal. Ms. Cusack. Okay, go ahead, Rudy. Sorry.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you, Councillor Albrecht, for bringing that to the forefront. I know that in between the time that you originally brought forward this notice of motion until now, there was a bit of an amendment, and I appreciate that being more specific. I think it's a good idea to ask the higher levels of government for more money, but to specifically target those concerns that you have. That being said, on July the 16th, the Prime Minister announced $19 billion for exactly these types of initiatives specific to municipal organizations and transit through the Safe Restart program. So that money is on the table. Might I suggest that we pursue the Safe Restart program with your notice of motion and move forward into that arena, specifically targeting those concerns that you have?
Did you want to speak to that, Councillor Albrecht?
Yes, I would be happy with that.
Okay. And I think that's the intent anyway, from the sounds of it. And we talked previously about a letter to the provincial government as well for housing and such. So I would think this would tie into it as well. Is that correct? Is that the intention?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I think the idea is targeting specific money that is on the table. And I think that was Councillor Albrecht's intention by amending his original motion to be more specific. And in this way, we're actually zeroing in on where the money is. So I believe that it would be worthwhile to identify the Safe Restart program in particular, flowing from the federal government through the province and intended for the municipalities, as championed by our FCM. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Albrecht, did you want to speak to that?
Yes, it's all about getting appropriate funding for our community and for all communities, quite honestly. So however that's going to look, I am absolutely 100%.
Great, thank you. Councillor Wallace.
I'm fine with it. I don't need to speak to it. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else? Any other discussion? And Councillor Wallace?
Are we finished with this one? Just as soon as we're finished with this one, I want to talk about the next thing.
Okay, the clean energy, yeah. Okay, so I'll call the vote. All those in favor of the motion? Any opposed? That carries. Okay, so on to clean energy bill. Before I do that, thank you, Councillor Albrecht, for bringing that forward, and I'm sure we can work with staff on exactly what needs to be done. So thank you for bringing that forward. Clean Energy BC Bill 17, proposed amendment to Clean Energy Act. What is Council's wishes with this correspondence? Councillor Wallace.
So I guess I might be needing some help in how to go about this because it's correspondence. I would like to personally support the motion that Clean Energy BC is asking us to do, because in looking to our future, I don't think it's a good idea to be removing self-sufficiency. Bill 17, that's what it wants to do. And there are many First Nations groups and many other groups within British Columbia that are already starting independent energy producers. And, you know, yeah, United States might have cheaper energy at this time, but I don't think that's sustainable for the future. And as we look at, you know, locally doing everything, I feel like we need to be focusing in British Columbia when it comes to producing our energy and not relying so much on Site C down as BC Hydro is doing. And we need smaller and more producers. And I feel like that would sustain communities better. So it isn't, I am just asking council, or maybe the direction of staff in moving forward. I would like to support the motion that Clean Energy BC is put before us.
Did someone from staff want to clarify that?
Madam Mayor, through to Councillor Wallace, if the desire of council is to support this, then I think council will need to pass some motions to write a letter to our MLAs in the form of the letter template as attached to the correspondence.
Okay, great.
If that's the desire of council.
Okay. Councillor Pahal.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And while I completely agree with moving towards renewable energies, I should point out that Clean Energy BC is a lobby group, and they use the word mom and pop, but they are represented by companies like Brooksfield, which is a large multinational corporation. And what they're trying to do is ensure that the contracts that they signed way back with BC Hydro at exorbitant rates are being maintained. So while I definitely agree that we should be moving towards renewables and self-sufficiency, this is not that. And this is to ensure that that process that was put in place, which is why there's been an escalation in the cost of hydro over the last 10 years in BC, and the challenges with those rate accounts, which is how BC Hydro was sort of cooking the books. And I don't think I'm speaking out of line there, because there was an auditor, the auditor of BC had a report that mentioned those deferral accounts being a challenge, and that the current provincial government has had to take a write down on hydro. So I would be very hesitant to support Clean Energy BC. I would be happy to support a motion in general that we focus on renewables within BC, but not specifically Clean Energy BC, and keeping the existing contract system, which has cost residents and industry in BC dearly. Also, some of these projects have caused damage to our rivers and streams because they've gone into salmon bearing streams and caused changes in water flows. So I think, I know the wording around here, they like using mom and pop, but be clear that this is a lobby group that has a big interest in making big dollars. So I don't support this organization.
Okay. Councillor Wallace and then Councillor Sturtevant. Did you want to reply to that, Councillor Wallace?
I want to reply to it. I'm fine with not supporting the organization. I'm fine with, I don't agree with removing self-sufficiency out of Bill 17, because in doing that, it doesn't allow for independent companies. So that's, I don't know if you're fine with that, Councillor Hall.
What about accepting this as correspondence and then creating our own motion and then bringing it forward in September at the next meeting?
I'm fine with that, but so in looking into this motion, we'll I know it's more on staff's plate, but it's really important for our future, maybe to look deeper into the issue of renewable energy.
Great, thank you. Councillor Pahal, did you have a reply to that?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And I guess, how would I put this? If I believe the motion could be constructed by members of council, and I'd be happy to work with someone on council to construct that, I guess, because I believe it wouldn't be from staff that would be putting this together, it would be from council.
No, that's wonderful, thank you. Councillor Sturtevant.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Motion to receive correspondence for information.
Okay, a seconder on that. All those in favor? And that carries. Okay, great. Thanks, everybody. All right. Motion to hold a closed meeting. Need a mover and a seconder, please. That council meeting immediately following this meeting be closed to the public as the subject matter being considered relates to items which comply with the following closed meeting criteria specified in section 90 of the community charter. 1, a part of council meeting may be closed to the public if the subject matter being considered relates to or is one or more of the following. E, the acquisition, disposition, or expropriation of land or improvements if the council considers that disclosure could reasonably be expected to harm the interests of the municipality. Litigation or potential litigation affecting the municipality, or I, the receipt of advice that is subject to solicitor-client privilege, including communications necessary for that purpose. And I believe I have Councillor Albrecht and James as movers and seconders. Oh, I'm sorry, I need to flip to the next page, which is also includes K, negotiations and related discussions respecting the proposed provision of a municipal service that are the preliminary stages and that in the view of the council could reasonably be expected to harm the interests of the municipality if they were held in public. Any discussion on that? All those in favor? Any opposed? Carries. Adjournment, that the meeting adjourn. I need a mover and a seconder, please. Councillor Sturtevant, Councillor Pahal. All those in favor? Carries.
Thank you.
All right, folks, be back here at 4:20.